you go back and you look at the history of Islamic conquest, coming out of the Saudi Peninsula since the 7th century. Everywhere they've had conquests or they've had victories, they've come back and they've erected things of tribute and things of conquest, being that you look at the Hagia Sophia when they took over Constantinople instead of now it's Istanbul. When you look at in Spain and Granada, in that area, which they call Al-Andalusia, this is just another opportunity for them to say, we have triumphed over you, and for them to say on the 10th anniversary of 9/11, they want to have an Islamic center there. That is a slap in the face to the American people, and especially to those who lost their loved ones on that day. And any person that does not stand up and allows this to continue on, I really challenge them as a leader. I challenge them as a person committed to the American way of life and our principles. The first thing we got to realize is that Russia is really not our friend, and Vladimir Putin is still running things in what was once the Soviet Union, and KGB is always KGB. So the fact that we're going to reduce our nuclear deterrent, I don't like to call it a nuclear arsenal. It's a deterrent. It's a tool that you have within your kit bag to make people not want to attack you or do the right things as far as an international relations leverage. So I think that right now we're putting ourselves in a very precarious position. And I go back and look at what happened down here in South Florida when the old Soviet Union, Khrushchev, were looking to put nuclear weapons on Cuba. We had to make a stand. So I think that the president, in seeking to be liked more so than respected, is going to have a very serious foreign policy faux pas. And we just saw with us releasing these quote-unquote Russian spies with time served being 11 days. Those are the type of things that you have got to show strength to a lot of these international actors, being as someone like a Putin, Ahmadinejad, Kim Jong-il, Hugo Chavez, because these are wolves and they are looking to rip the throats out of a lamb. I believe in immigration. I believe in legal immigration, but illegal immigration, the first word, the operative word is illegal. So we're talking about people who are breaking our laws, doing something wrong. And I would tell folks very simply to go to the United States Constitution, go to Article 1, Section 8, where it talks about repelling invasions. Go to Section 10, where it talks about the states have to be able to protect themselves if threatened. Go to Article 4, Section 4, where it once again talks about the federal government responsibility to repel invasions and protect the states. So I think that what we have to look at is you have a situation with a multi-headed hydra with legal immigration. It affects our national security. We know that there are people coming into this country that are what we call OTMs, other than Mexicans. We're finding prayer rugs. We're finding dictionaries that take Arabic to Spanish to English. It's also an economic issue because of all the benefits that we're giving to people that are here illegally. It's an education issue because it's affecting what we're able to teach in our schools. It's a healthcare issue. Down here in South Florida, we have hospitals that are starting to go under because they can't afford to continue to support people that see the emergency room as their clinics. But most importantly, it's a criminality issue. And I think those are the 5 key aspects that Arizona has recognized. And the federal government, in bringing forth this lawsuit, is not about this profiling or anything of that nature. It is only about the supremacy clause. But we've got to understand that this being a federal system, the 10th Amendment is very important. And so those rights and privileges do go to the individual and to the states to protect themselves. And I think that that is what the federal government has to realize, and that is why the American people stand with Arizona in relation to this issue called illegal immigration. When I was an active duty major at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and of course living through the Clinton years, we saw what happened to the United States military when you start cutting back our budget. Barney Frank is no friend to the military, and here we are with a military disengaged in 2 combat theaters of operation, and we're talking about cutting them back as far as what we're providing them. And that goes back to this federal government understand that's one of their mandates, is to provide for the common defense. And they're not doing that. So Ron Paul, who is really an isolationist, is totally out of touch when it comes to foreign policy. The fact that he wants to sit down with a left-wing ideologue such as a Barney Frank, that really does cause me concern for him understanding what the threats are that face the United States of America, we need to have a military that is extremely versatile, deployable, and agile. And I think we need to be focused not on occupational warfare, not on nation building, but we need to be focused on what I call the strike operations and the ability to launch, seek out this enemy, deny him his sanctuaries, cut off his funding and support. And that's how we need to start having a national security strategy that enables that to happen, and then have the correct funding for it. But instead, the liberals want to make sure that they extend unemployment benefits, what we heard Nancy Pelosi say, unemployment checks are the best way to stimulate an economy, and of course create jobs, which I think is absolutely appalling. I have never in my military studies looked to see where there is a tactical, operational, strategic task called winning hearts and minds. I know that everyone has coined that phrase. The most important thing over there is to show strength and might in these theaters of operation that we're engaged in. And nothing will matter as far as your strategy if you don't change the rules of engagement. If you continue to disallow our soldiers to have the initiative. Just this past week in Afghanistan, I believe we lost another 6 to 8 U.S. soldiers. This has been a very dangerous month in Afghanistan. Already close to, I believe, 20 soldiers have lost their lives over there. And it's all because we're not setting the conditions for them to go on the offense, to have the initiative. So that's the first and foremost thing that we have to take care of. If I get elected and get on the House Armed Services Committee, I'm going to ask the tough questions about the rules of engagement, because they have to change, and we have to get away from what I call the occupational warfare. If you want to hear more, please go to www.gowest2010.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn. So please follow this campaign. I think you'll like what you see.